Hi everybody, welcome to the Lot Pod, the Leeds Rhinos Lot 17A podcast, kindly sponsored by ACD&B, who are a branding and creative design agency based in Farsley, Leeds. They create standout brands, so if any companies out there need a new brand, a brand refresh or a new logo, just get in touch with ACD&B, and thank you as always to ACD&B for sponsoring us. This is a very special Lot Pod special with another special guest. Joining me as always are Reese and Andrew. How are you guys?
Reese?
I'm buzzing.
Big one.
Buzzing
Big
for the grand
fish,
final.
Great white.
We've got a nice distraction from the match review panel. So I can
We won't
calm
talk
down.
about that.
We won't talk about that. But yeah, no, I'm really excited for this.
Who have we got on this Lot Pod special, Andrew?
Well, what a guest tonight. It's grand final week.
The best.
There can only be one man as far as the Leeds Rhinos are concerned, apart from Sir Kev, of course. The player that's played in I think 9 grand finals, won 8 of them, scored in most of them. Heritage number 1329, made his debut against Salford for, I think, Yetton Harris back in July 2001. It's a very honoured special guest welcome to Danny McGuire.
Hi guys, how are we doing?
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much for giving up your time, Danny, in this what is a very special week for the Leeds Rhinos, who are appearing in, I think, their 13th grand final. It's an amazing achievement for Owen and the boys, isn't it, to get to the grand final from where they were in 11th in April.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on, guys. Looking forward to getting stuck into a bit of chat. Yeah, they've done amazing. I think, if we're all honest, mid-season, if anybody have said that the Rhinos would have been in the grand final, you'd probably you'd very much question their sanity, wouldn't you? I suppose. So yeah, they've done. Yeah, it just shows you sometimes what sort of team spirit and a connection can do. It can take you places. And Rowan and I suppose probably Jones, he deserves a lot of credit as well. He steadied the ship. He's probably not getting the recognition he deserves, but he steadied the ship in mid-season when things weren't looking great, if we're honest, and did a great job. And obviously Rowan's come in, and I just watch Leeds and I just look like they're enjoying it and they're playing for each other. And sometimes even when things aren't coming off, being a collective and working for each other gets the job done. And they're playing that way. And it should be a really good game on Saturday.
Before you go into your questions, Andrew, there is something that I do need to do. And Danny, I will have to explain this after, but I'm going to have to just press this about 15 times because Eddie in the top left-hand corner, depending where he mentioned your name that much that I had to buy a bell every time you press your name. So I'm just going to do that now, get that out of the way, and that's now done.
And then we never press it again.
And then I'm never going to press it again now because you've come on the podcast. So sorry. Right, crack on, Stats.
You described the victory at Wigan as Leeds' greatest ever in the playoffs. Was it up there with the Warrington victory in 2011?
Yeah, I mean, I think they might have used my words a little bit different. I think I said it was one of the greatest performances in the club's history, and I still agree with that. I think probably more because of where they've come from and the sort of pressures and the adversity that faced the Rhinos team had faced throughout the year. So to actually go to a really strong Wigan team as big underdogs, with the season that they've had, I really do believe it was up there in one of the best wins of the of Super League era, without a doubt. I mean, that's probably all that I can sort of compare to. But I'd have to, I still, we had some great times during my career there, and we got some great wins on the road at Catalans and Warrington, and in big games. But that was definitely up there without a doubt.
I want to obviously take you right back to the beginning with Leeds. You made your debut 2001 against Salford at Headingley back in July of that year. What do you remember of that day? And obviously Darryl Powell was coach at that time and brought you into the first team.
Yeah, it's a long time ago that now.
Andrew remembers everything.
I remember it being, if I'm totally honest, I remember being pretty nervous, but probably more because I didn't think I was physically ready. I was still, my academy. I was running my academy days alongside my A levels, and I missed a fair bit of training, and I don't think I was physically probably as developed as some of the other lads that were training full time, like Chev and Rob and a few of the other boys. So, but I kind of just got by on speed, I suppose, and probably being a little bit scared and trying to keep away from the big forwards. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously a dream. It was a dream, and to get an opportunity to replace one of your heroes as well in Iestyn Harris and come on and, I suppose, be the person that everybody wanted to take over his mantle. So yeah, it was a little bit of pressure, but really good memories.
I want to sort of bypass the 2002 season because I know we lost in the semi-finals to St Helens in the Challenge Cup, and I think bombed out in the playoffs away at Wigan. Yeah. The following year, the first trial I want to talk about, St Helens, Huddersfield, Challenge Cup semi-final. I think with 20 points to 26 down, the last 2 minutes to go. What do you remember of that sunny, hot day at Huddersfield in 2003?
Yeah, good memories, good times. Yeah. I think that was probably the game that sort of, I suppose, sprungboard me to people's attention a little bit. Yeah, well, maybe not greatness at that point. But yeah, I'd been on the bench. I'd been sat on the bench a fair bit, and I think you get used to that as a young player. You've got to earn your opportunities, and when you do come off the bench, you've got to be able to grasp it with both hands. And I remember I was itching to get on, and yeah, just a bit of instinct, just supporting some of our great players that we had, and obviously managed to finish the try in the corner, and Kev kicked that amazing kick, and then the try in extra time, I think. And I remember the atmosphere at Huddersfield, and we don't see it as much now in semi-finals. I think I remember it being relatively full, and it being a good sunny afternoon and a really good rugby league day. I remember Challenge Cups always felt really special at that point, and and obviously it didn't go to plan afterwards. I didn't get picked for the final, but things happen for a reason. But yeah, that's probably up there in my top 5 games, I'd say.
And was it a bitter pill to swallow for not being picked? Because we were all in Cardiff 2 weeks later. We all thought he should have been picked in the final. Obviously, Darryl had his choices, and was that a hard one to take?
Yeah, I think it was at the time, but it was actually really good for me. I'd had a fairly smooth ride from being a young kid, to be honest with you. I'd always played in the best teams, and we'd won a lot of trophies. Our academy team had been successful, and I think that was probably the first sort of setback I had in my career, and it was probably needed at that point, if I'm honest. Everything had gone really rosy, and I probably needed grounding a little bit and sending back down to earth. And I still don't think it was the right decision. And Darryl,
one does, Danny.
Never really spoke to Darryl about it in depth, but I felt we played Castleford. There was a week in between
that's right.
The semi and the final, and we played Castleford away, and I played all right. I scored a try and we won, and I thought, I think as a player, when there's a potentially, if you're not playing, you've got an understanding when you're on the fringes whether you might be playing and not, and you understand that. But there was no point in that week that I thought I wasn't playing, just because what happened in the semi, and so it was probably more a shock than anything, to be honest with you. But like I said, it would coaches have to make some tough decisions. I've found that in that last few months that I've been doing it, and sometimes you get it right and sometimes you don't, and you've just got to stick your chest out and do what you think's best for the team. And I think Darryl did that. I don't think there were any other reason than that. He just thought he was doing the best thing for the team, and you've got to accept that as a player sometimes.
No, unfortunately, end of that season, we were a Danny Tickle drop goal away, unfortunately, from getting to the grand final, and that proved to be Darryl's last game in charge. And then the golden era kind of took over, obviously, with the appointment of Tony Smith. Was there a real belief at the start of the 2004 season that Leeds could go one step further and win the grand final?
I think so. I think if you think about 2003, though, we were so close in both competitions. I think if Bradford were really strong that year, and I think, if we'd have gone to the grand final, I'm not saying we wouldn't have done, but Bradford were pretty formidable at that time. But we weren't far off in 2003, and then Tony obviously came in and just sort of revolutionised.
He's gone. Can we hear him?
Danny, we've just lost your sound.
Is that me? No.
Few technical issues here.
We've lost his sound, haven't we?
Sounds so interesting as well. Well, Danny, we can't hear you. This is our best bit. Live radio. Know what you can do about it.
Sorry, guys, am I back?
You're back.
You're back. Yes.
Sorry, we just lost you for a minute there.
Now.
You're chatting away.
It's not about us.
So, I was saying sort of Tony Smith came in and you said we were so close in 03, just losing out to Wigan by a point and Bradford by 2 points in the Challenge Cup final.
Hold on. I've lost their sound.
Have I lost our sound?
It's technical. Danny's wife, Lauren, coming in.
What? Oh dear.
It's live radio. What can you do?
I know.
Listen, it's the GOAT. We have to just.
Of course.
I've lost you guys now. I can just see your mouth.
What's sign language?
I'm not very good at sign language. Sorry. I can't hear them, lads.
Unless you're a referee.
I don't know. It's not muted from me.
I wonder why it went off. This is
Eddie,
definitely the best podcast without a shadow of a doubt. Regardless.
Eddie, can you hear me?
Yeah?
Yeah, we can hear each other. Lovely.
The issue we've got at the moment is just Danny hearing us. Right, Danny's left us at the moment. He's going to come back in.
With some technical issues.
Sorry.
Eddie, you've got some editing to do after this.
This is going out as it is. He was still speaking.
He's back.
Right, we're back.
I'm back.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you now, yeah. Sorry.
Excellent.
Yeah.
No idea what happened there. Try my best not to press anything as well.
So we were sort of saying that Tony came in at the start of the 2004 campaign, the sort of start of the golden generation, and was there still belief from the season before when we did come so close in the Challenge Cup and Super League in 03 that we could go one step further in 04?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the momentum and the belief that we created in 2003 were just sort of solidified a bit by Tony's arrival, really. He was really demanding, but he had such a young group that were just prepared to do anything, really. Anything he would have thrown at us, we were just all going to buy into. And we had obviously some experienced players, Dave Ferner, Keith Senior, Barry Mack. We had a really good mix of youth and experience. And I really that was such an enjoyable year as well, because we played some really good stuff. We threw the ball about, scored loads of points, and Ray played a really exciting brand of rugby, which were great to be a part of, and obviously managed to get the job done in the final against Bradford as well. So it were that's probably my favourite year, if I'm honest. That 2004 season.
Wow. Yeah.
And there's always one game I'll always refer to that season: St Helens 70-0. You broke Paul Newlove's record for tries in the season. I think was that the night that the real belief came to the squad that we could go and win the grand final.
I think so. I think we had a few moments like that throughout the year. I think we beat Bradford as well at one point, and I think we just had a real like bond between, especially our younger players, because we'd sort of played a lot of the academy stuff together, and we'd got used to winning and winning in big games as well. And it was just a matter of time before we could sort of transfer that into the first team. And I think Tony really instilled that confidence in everybody, and we had a really good culture, a good collect. Everybody sort of got on as well that year, and I think the sort of stars were aligned to get the job done. And there's not many times that you get an opportunity to put 70 on the St Helens team. I think we beat Wigan by 70 as well at one point, didn't we, in that season? So yeah, we were scoring points. When we had great players, Ali Lawatiti signing were huge for the club, and Marcus Spy were brilliant that year as well. And we were just sort of, I think you just know when you've got the squad to go and do the job. And I think we just had a real lot of belief that year.
Now, Leeds being Leeds, we always like to make life difficult for ourselves. Brilliant, top of the league, into the playoff semi-final. We lose at home to Bradford, and then we play Wigan again. What was the pressure like going into that Wigan game, knowing what happened the season before?
Yeah, I remember at the time there were a little bit of, obviously, because we're not won anything for a long time. We're not won a championship for 32 years, so they were already the Rhinos are going to choke and all that type of stuff. So there were a lot of talk about that, but I think within the camp, I don't remember us being too flustered, if I'm honest. I think we remained, we obviously lost that game to Bradford, and I think Vinacola were on fire that day, and we ended up losing. But I think the belief was still there. The belief was still there, and we knew that. I think sometimes you grow as a team. You can grow from defeats, or from, like I said, bit about not playing in the Challenge Cup final. Setbacks kind of make you a little bit stronger. So, we were pretty determined that we'd get that job done against Wigan, and we knew we'd have an opportunity to have a crack at Bradford, and it just turned out that it played out like that, and obviously we managed to go to Old Trafford and get the job done there.
And obviously, October the 16th, 2004 will be a day that will go down as a red letter day in the Rhinos' history. Obviously, Bradford took the lead in that game. Matt Diskin had a magnificent game. And then you're on the end of a pass from Keith Senior in front of the Leeds fans. That must have been an unbelievable feeling now into the last 10 minutes that you're going to be grand final winners.
Yeah. Just weird feeling. Then I just got a weird feeling when you were speaking about it, actually. Special, really special. I think this goal was sensational, that game. But
it really was, yeah.
We had a real plan just to keep kicking in behind and kicking down Vinacola. And I think that game actually sort of set a blueprint of how to play in grand finals. It's about possession. It's about not making mistakes. It's about kicking into corners. It's about defending well. And when you do get 3 or 4 opportunities to score tries in grand finals, you've got to grasp them. It's not always an open game with flowing rugby, and you've got to really grind and earn your opportunities. And I think that game in 2004 sort of probably served as the blueprint, or the tactics were probably how we played in 2017, if I'm honest. And very similar, very similar style. So we just sort of were more determined to get the job done than Bradford.
And then winning the grand final means, as a Leeds United fan, you get to play at Ellen Road, score a brilliant try against Canterbury Bulldogs, and all of a sudden we're World Club champions.
Yeah, love that night.
That was easy.
Yeah, love that night. I think the World Club, I think it's lost a bit of its prestige, if I'm honest. I think in them early days, and Melbourne, we played Melbourne a few times, and the Billy Slaters and the Cameron Smiths and the Greg Inglisses and
awesome.
Sonny Bill Williams in that game, but it's just lost a little bit of its. I don't know what's the word is. For me, I loved that game, especially the one at Ellen Road. To play there as a Leeds United fan and not a very good footballer, you never think that's possible.
It's going to happen.
You never think that's going to happen. But we got, and I remember there was 30 plus thousand there, and you'd be lucky to get 10,000 watching a World Club Challenge now. It's a bit of a shame, because there were really good nights and really good games, and as a player playing against the best players in the world, we're always you could always test yourself and know where you are sort of as a player, really. And it was brilliant for the club as well, for marketing and commercial use to be world champions. There's not many organisations that get an opportunity to call themselves that. So I think we're really, and not everybody, all the supporters and everybody involved. It's great to be able to call yourselves world champs in it, I think.
And would you say 2005 was a bit of a nearly year yet again? Lost out by a point at Paul Cook at Cardiff, and also lost in the grand final to Bradford.
Yeah, I think so. I think, again, if you turn back time, and I'm not one to probably change too many things, but there's a few things we probably could have done a little bit better that year. But a couple of bounces of the ball, and obviously Paul Cook scored late in the Challenge Cup final. But there are a few things that we probably would go back and do differently. Keith Senior not playing. And then obviously the grand final, there wasn't much in that game. Chev Walker scores that try that Michael Withers holds him up in the corner. If he scores that, it's probably a different game. And sometimes things don't go for you, and the other teams get their breaks and take advantage of it. And we just kind of didn't get the job done that year. And that were a good year, but disappointing in with how it finished.
And obviously 2006 was a bit of a nothing year in a way. That I know we got to the Challenge Cup semi-final, lost to Huddersfield and lost to Warrington in the playoffs. And then 2007, Tony's last year. When was the belief that you could put that performance in against St Helens at Old Trafford? Because I think that's probably one of the best performances I've seen from a Leeds Rhino side in the grand final.
Yeah, I think that's the best team performance. There's been some really good individuals, and maybe 4 or 5 players having really strong games, but I think across the board, everybody just nailed that game. Everybody, Saints had an unbelievable team at that point as well. They were, they were really, Wellens and Long and Cunningham, and they were stacked. They were a stacked team. They'd be top at league by a mile now, would Saints, if they were still if all their players were still playing now. They were a stacked team. And yeah, I remember the first try that Brent Webb scored, and we practiced that set play 3 or 4 times on the Friday. And again, in grand finals, they don't normally come off. Sometimes you used to practice it and thinking, this ain't going to work in a final. It's too much. And actually, I did a face ball to Kev, and Kev turned it up to Brent Webb, and Keith passed it to Scotty Donald, and Brent Webb supported on the inside, and it was almost like a carbon copy of what we practiced the day before, which were ridiculous. And and that were a really, 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 really good team performance. And we defended stoutly. And we got stuck into them and managed to take our chances when they came about.
And obviously, we then play Ellen Road again, I think against Melbourne, possibly one of the windiest games of rugby league I've ever watched. I think it was 11-4 in the end. So Scotty Donovan went in the corner. That must have been a horrific game of rugby league to play.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think I only played about 35 minutes. I did cracked my collarbone, so I had to come off. I was devastated, but it wasn't great conditions for rugby league. But, like I said before, when you're playing against the Melbournes and the Manleys, and they're obviously littered with Melbourne at that time were buying the players speedboats and all sorts, wanted to get round salary. So, so to actually beat them it's probably underplayed how significant it was. And I know they're at the early part of their season and they're probably not prepped and stuff, but you've still got to turn up and beat a great team. And another win at Ellen Road as well. It were really special night.
And then we go and do something that the Leeds side has never done in their history, win back-to-back trophies. And the one thing I always remember at Old Trafford, if it rains, it plays into our hands. And that night, I just got a dazzling try, in and out, under the post, in front of the sticks.
I'm just checking the forecast for Saturday now, you said that.
That'll do. And another grand final victory in 2008.
Yeah, and obviously we had Bluey, Brian McLennan coming in, and
yes.
He was actually perfect. It was I don't know if Gary did it perfectly or not. I'd never question any of Gary's decisions, but I think Brian McLennan were the perfect sort of fit after Tony had left. He was a lot more relaxed, and he was about team building and about sort of everybody being really together off the field and families and also. And it couldn't have been any better after we'd had really intense few years with Tony, and he just kind of let us go out there and play. We had obviously we'd grown senior by then, myself, Kev and Rob and JP and people like that. And so basically we were just allowed to sort of crack on really. And I'm not saying we ran the team, but we were sort of more managed than coached, if that makes sense. And he was perfect, and he had some really good ideas and some good things. And 2008, we managed to turn up, and again, very similar. Like I said before, in grand finals, I think it'll be a low-scoring game on Saturday. I don't think there'll be many opportunities, and you've got to grasp the ones that come about. And I picked up that loose ball and scored, and I can't really remember any of the other tries. I think the one off a kick, and you've just got to sort of take them when they come, really, and defend for your life. And I think every time in grand finals, that's what we've been able to do.
And then the following year, you put a lovely little kick in for Lee Smith. He might have been onside. He might have been offside.
No, we're onside.
He was offside. We go and win the three-peat, which is unbelievable. I know Lions have done it this time now, but to do that at that stage in 2009 was absolutely unbelievable. Yeah,
really special. And I think you've got to create stories that motivate you a little bit, I think. And because sometimes we always had a spell in the season where we'd have 2 or 3 games where you're thinking, "Oh, Leeds are going to fall away here." Everything's catching up with them, and I'm not saying we kind of planned it, but we always knew we were going to have a little bit of a lull, and it had sort of it'd almost be like a restart button for us, and we'd then go, right, we're starting again here now. It was always towards the back end, towards Challenge Cup time, or 6 or 7 games to go, and then we'd find some sort of spark for the back end of the season, really. And I don't think it would ever really consciously done that, works that way, but it just kind of happened, and we always found a way. And a three-peat, we spoke about, I think it was like the Lakers, one of the.
That's right. Yeah.
We actually used their sort of motivation to we had like a little bit of a story running parallel to our season, really. So that were kind of our way of keeping ourselves motivated a little bit.
And do you believe the following year, had the injury not happened at Wigan, we could have gone on to win 4 in a row, do you reckon?
I do, yeah. Really do.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah,
I really do.
Think we're very,
I mean, JP got injured a couple of weeks before me.
He did.
Oh, yeah, he did.
But then we managed to go to Wigan without JP and beat him. Obviously, I got injured in the last seconds there, but you never know. Again, it's easy to say things, but then I think Wigan then came back to beat us at Headingley. Is that right? And
that's right.
Yeah. You never know, but I'd like to think we'd have had a good shot.
We could have done it, yeah.
Which kind of brings in line to where we're at the moment. 2011, 2012, finished 5th. Wow, what was the response in the squad? I think we went to Catalan, didn't we, in the end of July, beginning of August in 2011, got beat quite easily. And from there on in, the run to the end of the season was just fantastic.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I think Brian Mack probably needs a lot of credit for that. I think he did some really, really good things where he sort of shouldered a fair bit of the responsibility and the pressure. He kind of was really good at absorbing all that and letting the players sort of just do what they do. And again, whether he believed it or not, I think he said, I know for exact. He said it in 17. He said when we got beat by 60, by Cass, he said, "Oh, we'll win grand final." He said, and he'd say things very similar. I think probably after that Catalans game that you were talking about, where we'll still win grand final, and I'm probably a few of us are sat there thinking, honestly, to be honest, I'm kind of not sure about this. Yeah. But he shouldered a fair bit of that responsibility, and when it came to the big games, and used to look around the changing rooms, and I'd see Kev to my right, and Rob sat opposite, and JP stomping up and down, and Kylie just doing what he needs to do, and Brett Delaney sort of getting ready. And I think just that type of thing, then you'd look around the changing rooms and go, actually, we've got this. We've been there before. We know how to do it. We know what it takes. And I think I always used to look around just before I went out and to play, and that used to give me tons of confidence, knowing that I had the players, I had their backs and they had my back as well.
Yeah.
Now, for all the grand final victories, there was one trophy that eluded Leeds for so many years. Lost obviously in 2005 to Hull, 2010 I think to Warrington, 11 to Wigan, 12 to Warrington, 2014 Castleford Tigers Challenge Cup final. Was that kind of the one holy grail that you thought might elude everyone until that day?
I'd given up on Challenge Cup.
Really?
I was gonna.
So had I, Danny. So had I.
I don't want to play in any games. I've given up on it. We had that many sort of frustrations and
grand finals only.
I was just like, I'm not bothered. Even if we lose in first round, I'm not bothered. But then obviously in 14 we did what we did, and we obviously got to the final, and I think just I don't know. There's a lot of pressure. I remember that game feeling like if we don't do it this time, then I honestly don't know what's.
I did feel like that, to be honest. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Then it's just never meant to be, and we actually played a really good. Cass were playing some good stuff then. They had some dangerous players. They had Sneed and Dawn. Players that could sort of cause you trouble if you didn't. But we just kept kicking into behind Luke Dawn, and every time we were just into him. I remember the first time we tackled him, we kicked long, and me and James Jones were down there, and Luke Dawn ran it in, and he normally used to look for his wingers because he liked to attack. He didn't really like to take the tough caddies, but we got him, and I'm elbowing him in the face, telling him, "You're not having this today. You're getting it all." giving him all, and he had a really quiet game. He was their most dangerous player, but we obviously got the monkey off the back, and Wembley. It's really weird, Wembley. We've obviously played there a few times and got some not so good memories, and obviously then we got the 2 wins at the back end, so kind of just about turned to the best.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, 2015 will go down season in the history for the treble.
Yeah.
I want to take you back to that Huddersfield game, the last minute of the game. It's looking like a draw. I can still picture the commentary from Eddie Hemmings in my head. Where does that move come from for your little kick ahead for?
Yeah, was that planned, Danny? Did you that kick for Hawley?
You know what? That again, a lot of that's just instinct, and obviously the game we were drawing at the time, and I've always wanted to take risks. I'd rather take a risk and it not come off than just get caught with a ball in hand and play the safe stuff. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to go on short side and chip it over, see what happens. And luckily, it bounced nice for Hawley, and Scott Griggs, I don't know what he was doing, ran out of the way, and it was a bit crazy. And and that's probably that's the best feeling I've ever had after a game. That 30 seconds, 30 seconds of celebrations after that were like the best feeling ever. The best, even beats the final wins. I think just because of what it meant for the next couple of weeks, what it potentially meant we could achieve. So it was that was without a doubt, probably the best.
Did you feel the pressure of history going into the grand final against Wigan? Now you could be the first team in Leeds history to win the treble.
I don't think I can't really remember feeling too much pressure, to be honest. I just felt like everything was aligned. With obviously with JP and Kev and Kylie leaving, it was almost like this is set up for them to bow out this way. And don't get me wrong, Wigan made it hard, especially when they went in front in that second half. But we always had that belief that we could, we'd get the job done. And I remember they scored first, and I think Warrington scored first against us in 2012, and did Bradford score first? No, I don't know. It just like we'd use that. Jamie Jonesy always used to say, "Don't worry, boys, this is how it works. They score first." And everyone would go, "Yeah, you're right. It works."
Oh, yeah, it's happened before that.
Yeah, it's happened before. And we just in that game, especially in 15, I think both defences were really good, and we just had 3 or 4 opportunities, and we took them again. And
obviously, to your final season at Leeds, you sort of mentioned it there. We got battered at Cass, I think 16 in March. And was the belief still in the squad there that you could go on and win the grand final?
I try and always be as honest as possible.
Yeah.
Probably not. I think Cass were that good that year that everybody were a bit like, we finished second. We finished second in the league, so we had a good year. We had some good performances, but Cass was so far ahead of anybody else at that point. Yeah, it was just a bit like. But then I suppose the deeper it got, and the more I used to think about, can Cass replicate how they play? Does their style of rugby suit a grand final? And I wasn't sure it did. They had Paul McShane, they had Luke Gale, they had Greg Eden. Obviously Zach didn't play, but they played a style that was quite attacking and liked to throw the ball about. And I just thought if we can nullify some of their threats and kick well, which we did in that game, and again tackle, defend. Stevie Ward playing in that game were massive for us. By the way,
I don't know how he did. By the way, he must have been pumped with painkillers.
He popped his shoulder, didn't he? Yeah,
he popped his shoulder the week before. Yeah. He popped it back in and strapped it up and played, and that I know it did me. It gave me confidence knowing that he was there, and I think that were a really big boost for the team, and obviously myself and Rob playing our last games. Whether that give us a 5% lift, I'm not sure, but it probably, them type of things, you probably don't speak about it that much, but internally, there's probably a little bit more extra effort given when things like that are happening. So, and we, again, a couple of kick tries and, being in the right place at the right time, and we ended up smashing them. So it was good.
And I think
that's amazing.
I'm actually still gutted, and it still hurts me that they scored. I wanted to nil them.
Yeah.
Nil them. Yeah. When he scored at the end, if you watch that try at the end, I with like 3 or 4 of us flying over to Hitchcock's, and he just manages to flick it out. Yeah. And I was gutted. I was more gutted after the game that they'd scored.
Because they had a try disallowed as well, didn't they? And we thought, we're going to nil them. And I think that the 3 pivotal moments, your drop goal just before half time, your tackle on, I think it was on Greg Eden to knock the ball out, and then you try off the kick. Just put Leeds in control and gave us a 3-score lead that night.
Yeah. I think the drop goal was really crucial, and it had been some. I'll admit, Kev always took all our drop goals. I was terrible, but when pressure came on, I always used to seem to nail them. I nailed one at St Helens and a couple at Catalans in big games, and I would just put myself there. I thought, right, here we go. It was probably one of the better ones I struck that, and I think that 7-0 cushion just mentally was really big, because I knew that our defence were on, and I knew that people were going to keep moving and keep working, and so the 2-try sort of gap was massive. And obviously the try, when I got my hand to when Eden were just about to score, and we saved that. And there's always moments in them big games that are really crucial and play a big part. And probably the try saving tackle were probably as important as some of the other bits.
Yeah.
And from all your grand final wins, is there one that stands out above all the rest, or are they all as equal?
I think I'll give you an honest answer again. Last one. My last game for Leeds, because there's probably a few bits to it. Probably because I always thought I'd finish and play at Leeds for the rest of my life, and I'd still be there now. And I just never thought I'd play for anybody else. It would just never entered my head. And obviously how things played out that year, and it probably wasn't how I would want it to finish. Not how I want it to finish. Obviously, I would want it to finish winning a grand final, but I still felt like I had a bit more to give. So there were a little bit of "I'll show you" type of attitude from me to everybody, and I think just because obviously in 15, we get clumped together as players. We get, JP, Kev, myself, Rob. We get clumped together as a group that always played together, and very rarely I think because we all played for so long together, and I just thought I actually want to try and do this for myself and Rob, and to show that we can actually do something without, no disrespect to them, because love them to bits, and but it were a bit like, I actually want a bit of this myself, and I'm deciding a little bit weird, but it was that. It were a bit like I want us to show that there's a little bit more to us as a team than just that group. So that were a little bit of added motivation, but things happen, and I probably used Leeds not wanting to keep me as a bit of motivation as well, and we managed to obviously play really well.
Brilliant. Race.
Is it over to me, or is it Eddie next?
I'll go next.
Yeah,
I'll go next. I've just got some questions about your teammates, Danny, ex-teammates. You can throw a few under the bus if you feel that way inclined.
Never do that.
Best players you've played with. Obviously, we know the usual.
Yeah.
You mentioned, Rob. Do you reckon there might be one that's perhaps underrated a little?
The Leeds ones are really easy, and I always find it really hard to sort when I always get asked that one. But the qualities from, if you could put all the different qualities together from all the players that I played with, I have probably JP's mental toughness and his ability to get people around him to a higher level, and Kev's game management and composure, and then you've got Rob's individual brilliance, and so it's really hard to sort of pick one player. But like if it was somebody not from Leeds, I'd probably say Paul Sculthorpe.
Really? Wow.
Just for like only a little bit with England. He was sort of his international were finishing as I were kind of starting, but
yeah,
he was some player. Yeah, some player. And I think he single-handedly one year took the Aussies apart, and about 2002, something like that. He was skillful. He was tough. And he was always one of them, when you were playing against him, you'd look and think, probably try and avoid him if I can.
Yeah, stay out of his way.
But great fella off the field as well. And
nice bloke. Looks like he could still play, to be honest.
Yeah, he probably could.
What about the toughest opponent you've ever come up against?
Oh, what's happened here?
Have you lost our sound? It's going to be... Yeah, we need Lauren back in here, Danny's wife. Interesting, he says Paul Sculthorpe. I thought we were going to say someone like Cameron Smith or Billy Slater or...
Billy Slater, wow, Greg Inglis.
Yeah, exactly. Played against some amazing players. Paul Sculthorpe, what a good player, though, to be fair.
Oh,
especially in those international...
Scully was unbelievable against the Aussies, but...
Played like a man possessed, didn't he?
Back.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Have you got us, yeah?
Yeah, I've got you. Is that all right?
Yeah,
all good.
The toughest player you've come up against in your career?
Toughest? There's probably a couple, really. I remember playing against Andy Farrell in the early part of, sort of before he went to Rugby Union, and he sort of was carrying that Wigan team a little bit, the back end of his Wigan spell, and he was one of them that, like, you went into a room and he had a bit of an aura about him, and it was pretty scary. And I always remember that, like, time he had his nose taped and blood was everywhere.
Splattered across his face.
Yeah, splattered across. His nose was splattered across his face. But then somebody that I actually played with, and then against Gaz Ellis. Again, he'd be somebody you'd be looking in defensive line and thinking, I'm trying to avoid. Trying to avoid Gaz, because otherwise he's going to put you into the middle of next week.
Going to run around him.
He was like tough, but like fair tough. He wasn't like a niggly player where he'd elbow you or just want to bash you and hurt you with proper technique and proper rugby league tackles.
The funniest teammate you've ever had?
It's definitely not Lee Smith. Funniest. The biggest practical joke throughout all the years at the Rhinos was Rob.
Yeah.
Rob was sensational in the dressing rooms.
Yeah.
And you always need somebody of that ilk to be able to lighten the mood at times. Professional sport can get a bit intense at times, and you always need somebody in there that's going to be doing daft things and saying daft things and playing pranks on some of the big guys, because he knows that they won't retaliate. And so people like that are really crucial in your dressing room. And we've had some other ones. Jamie Thackeray was a bit of a character. He was interesting. He was good fun. But Rob, I'd say without a doubt, Rob would be right up at the top of the list.
Who were your tightest teammate?
Oh, we had a few.
Interested. I'm very interested to see, because we've had Barry McDermott, Francis Cummins, both said Keith Senior's really tight.
Yeah, Keith was I think Keith was more careful.
Careful.
If you caught Keith on a good day, he'd buy you a coffee or buy you a beer. But if you were on one of his miserable days, then you'd have no chance.
No chance.
You'd have no chance. There's a few. Probably Carl Ablett was up there.
Really?
Carl Ablett, yeah, very, very. Always stand at the back in the Costa queue. He won't be at the front. But yeah, we were all right. I think we had a fairly generous team. Brett Delaney, the most generous person by a long way.
Really?
Right. If he had his last fiver, if he only had a fiver left and you asked to borrow it, he'd lend you it.
He'd give you it.
He'd give you it. That's how much of a champion he is. And Frog would be at the top the other way.
We should start asking that question. Actually, most generous. Yeah. Biggest drinker in the dressing room at Leeds?
Oh. We did.
You can say yourself if it is.
No. We like to celebrate. We want.
You had many reasons to, Dan.
Yeah, we like to drink, and I think it's really important as long as you're doing it at the right times and it's not every week. I think a beer together and a relax within the group is really important, and it can't be all nighters and turning up not ready to go again on a Monday morning.
It's just time and a place.
Yeah, to me, it's just as important as your training and everything else that you do to prepare yourself. And but Gary Connolly, you don't get a nickname Gary Lager without being a good drinker.
No.
Or Gary Lager, you've got to be a good drinker. So
that is a great nickname, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good nickname. Probably say Gaz. Great fella though. I loved his
good
short.
Player as well, yeah.
Great player. Loved his short spell at Leeds. Learned a load off him.
What about the best kit? Best kit you've won? Any favourites?
I think it's the way. It's one that my man's got on there. Reese, is it Reese that?
Yeah,
that's Reese. Yeah.
It's your shirt, isn't it?
Yeah. I think.
So did you design that then, Danny? Did you have a?
Yeah. Well, we had a white one in. I want to say.
07.
07. We had a white one, and I really liked it. So I thought I'm going to try and do something similar for my testimonial. Yeah. So it was kind of pinched or borrowed from 2007.
That makes sense now. Did Ryan Bailey choose his?
Oh, I don't know what. I think he just shut his eyes and picked all the colours for his.
We're talking about it off air. Good. That Ryan Bailey one was bloody.
That was an interesting decision. That one.
Yeah.
What's
the best ground you've played at?
Bar Headingley.
The old Headingley.
Ellen Road.
the old Headingley. Not so fussed for the new Headingley, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I just don't think it carries the same atmosphere, the same. That's just my opinion. It's an unbelievable.
That rings true to me. Yeah,
unbelievable venue now for with the facilities that it's got and everything. It's great to play in, but I think it's lost a little bit of its old charm. The walking out to that south stand was legendary, and you'll never get that back. But
no,
I'm just lucky enough that I got to sample the good times, and but I always Cass is the worst and the best, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
changing rooms and everything are terrible.
But it's horrible.
Pitch is good, and I used to quite enjoy it. They were on top of you, and I get a load of stick from Cass fans as well, which always was good fun. And so I'd probably say I used to enjoy playing at Cass in a weird kind, because it was always a challenge as well. You didn't get everything for you. You got no space in the changing rooms, and things weren't perfect, but you had to still go out and play well. So I used to enjoy that.
Yeah, probably one of my favourite away grounds as well. The most intelligent teammate you've had?
Oof. We ain't got many. Not many.
The most stupid?
Probably most intelligent would be probably Ryan Hall, would it? Yeah. Well, I mean, Hall is intelligent in different areas.
Yeah.
Rubik's Cube and maths and all that type of stuff. Yeah, but then common sense, zero.
That does tend to go hand in hand.
Yeah. But yeah, probably Ollie.
Ryan Hall.
His all-round ability.
Yeah, nice guy. The biggest moaner?
Probably me, to be honest. Yeah. Depends what your class is moaning. I used to, obviously, I'm renowned for moaning at the refs. So, but yeah, I don't think we had many moaners. We were pretty just. I think that was one of our strengths. Really, we just cracked on. We didn't really whinge about anything. We just, whether it were a skill session, a fitness session, or whatever was thrown at us, everybody just cracked on it. Whether the environment that we created didn't really allow many moaners, to be honest. If you were too whingy and moany, you didn't hang around for too long. So
get rid of it. Time and place.
Didn't have many.
What about the teacher's pet? Was there Any players at your time at Leeds? What were a bit of a teacher's pet, one of the coaches?
I think captain always gets labelled.
Also, it's Kevin.
Yeah, probably Kev, if I'm honest. I think because you've got to have that relationship with the
kind of the middleman go between.
Yeah, you end up spending a load of time in coach's office and relay messages back to players. So, but that kind of could get seen as you're taking apples and for the coach to make everything rosy. But I suppose that probably similar to when I was in there. To be honest, I probably got called a teacher's pet. But when you're captain, you've got to be that link between the staff and the players. So unfortunate, I think.
Kevin, obviously you did leave Leeds, unfortunately, for Hull KR. But earlier on in your Leeds career, was there ever a time that you got an offer, an attractive offer from the NRL or other Super League clubs that you had to turn down, or did you think about leaving them?
I had a few different ones along the way, but never sort of went any further than no thanks or really early stages. Yeah, I were always happy, and I think when you're part of
winning side,
a great team and a winning side, and you enjoy what you do, I probably could have left for more money, but at the end of the day, money's it is what it is, and if some people chase the money and have great careers and move around to different clubs and have successful careers, and I'd never begrudge anybody doing that, but I was always content. I was always, Gary, we had really easy contract negotiations with Gary. Whenever
I am the best player, so you need to pay me what I want.
I wouldn't get paid as much as I'd have liked, but it is, I won't change things.
Yeah.
And then, but I think one of the big things was if I looking back now, actually going to KR and actually taking myself out of my comfort zone were probably the best thing I've ever done. And like I said before, I always thought I'd play out my career at Leeds, but I've absolutely loved my time at KR. Loved the challenge of my 2 years playing there, and I'm really, really enjoying what I'm doing now. It's a great club with great people there. So in a weird kind of way, I'm really glad how it sort of played out at the back end.
Just on Hull KR, how did that move come about? When did you find out there was no offer from Leeds? And
yeah, it's interesting. So I'd always had a brilliant relationship with Brian Mack, and I think you get on with your coach and you've got no issues with your coach when he picks you, but when you played, and that sometimes it's as simple as that. And me and Bright, we were good. He kind of let me go and express myself, and we'd chat a little bit about different things, but he were really like, just go and play. I'll give you the freedom to go and play. So we never really, and I think that the last year, obviously, that I was captain in 17, and our relationship just went a bit. It just wasn't a good. Yeah, we had a couple of little things that we disagreed on.
Oh wow!
That he questioned me, a couple of times, and I just didn't think it were. I think he thought I was coming to the end, and I could kind of sense he was pushing me out, and I didn't like the way it was done. And I get it. I get what happens in sport. I get, and coaches have got to make decisions, and but we just had the back end of the year, we just had a professional relationship. We did what we did for the best for the team, but it probably kind of soured our great relationship for the previous 7 or 8 years that he were there. And
that's a shame.
Yeah, it was, and it's fine now. It'd be fine. There's no issues there. No problems at all now. But and that was it really. I remember I meant to meet Gary, and we were sat in the cafe bar, and I thought he was going to offer me a contract, and he's look, there's nothing for you at the minute, and I was like, I was shocked, really shocked. So he said, I'll come back to you if I can scrape something together, and I was like, right, that's me.
How can you say that to Danny McGuire?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Myself and my manager were like, right, okay, and I was like, I knew that after that conversation that I was going, and JP had got the job at KR, and within a week I'd signed the contract. Not even a week, within a couple of days.
Yeah. Straight over there to KR.
Yeah, and I just thought, right, I'll show you. And
you did twice, I think. You came to Headingley twice and smacked our asses, I think.
yeah. That was.
That must have been quite unique as well. In that you came back with KR. I think twice, both games you beat us, but then we all kind of stood there and clapped you and said, "Yeah, thanks, Danny. Well done."
Yeah, I mean,
you've still got it.
The last game at Headingley again. I think players always have different like motivations, and mine that I remember that game, and obviously Tony was coach. Tony had come in, and I think when you're playing against your former club, you've got a little bit of added spice there. I think that's probably the case for most people, and I just wanted to sort of kind of play well and still show.
You did,
I could still do it, and it's hard. It's hard because, like I always say, that I've got like a really deep connection with the club and with Leeds and with everything, and so it's kind of weird, but at the end of the day, I've got to do what I've got to do for my club at the time, and it was just we managed to play really well and win.
Yeah, brilliant. Last one from me before I pass over to Reese for our listener questions. You obviously did become the caretaker manager at Hull KR, absolutely decimated by injuries. We've had a question from our friends at the Red Robin podcast, and they've asked me to ask you, just how close were you to putting your boots on this year?
I was getting pressured by Matt Parcell. Matt was like, "Come on, have another game with us."
You still got it.
I honestly didn't think about it because I jump in and train with the boys now and again, and try and keep myself moving a little bit. And when we were down on numbers, I think it was more because I saw how hard the lads were doing it. We were playing players that were bust, and I'm sat there thinking, "I tell you what, I'll have a go with these boys. I'll put my boots on and have a run round to help them out." But I think, I couldn't have done it. I think it's absolutely disrespectful to think that somebody who's not played for
can jump into that level.
3 years can actually play at that level. It's actually disrespectful to the boys that are playing. But I would have done. I would have had a go, and probably not been very good. But I'd have had a shot and just tried to help the lads out because we were.
You'd have still been the best player.
I don't know about that. I'd have had a go. I'd tried my best. Well, I miss it. I miss playing every day, and I think coaching gives you a similar buzz and a similar feeling, but you can never replicate that feeling you got from playing and having to play well for your mates at side. You can never replicate that. So I thought I might get that back for one last hurrah, but wasn't to be.
Over to you, Reese, with the listener questions and the mailbag.
Just before you go into it, Reese, I'm going to have to shoot off
all right.
Very shortly. I've got my missus ringing me shortly, so I need to keep her sweet. Danny, thank you so much. It's been an absolute joy listening to all your stories, and I just hope that Cruz Leeming's lifting the trophy on Saturday night at about 8:30.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
See you soon, Andrew. Thanks a lot.
Guys.
So, Danny, mailbag isn't just about rugby, isn't about rhinos. There's a cricket question there.
I'll ask you all sorts, Danny.
There's food questions, so I'll try and rattle through these so quickly. So, thanks very much for your time. I'll start with cricket, actually.
Yes.
I'm assuming you played cricket last weekend?
I did, yeah.
Were you plum, LBW?
No, I wasn't. I got absolutely shafted by the umpire.
The umpire.
Yeah.
David Merrick asked, someone said, what did you think? Well, he got 159 not out last time, but Jacob, it must be his son got him on the weekend.
Yeah, Mez. He's a good little bowler, his son, actually, and I wasn't happy. If I was still as angry as I was when I used to play, I'd have probably confronted the umpire, but
smashed the bat.
best not to. But I started playing this year again. I played cricket as a kid, and I'm really missing that sort of team and sort of team spirit and playing for a team. And so I got back into it, and I played probably about 13 or 14 times this year, midweek games, and then I played a few games on a Saturday and really enjoyed it. So to answer your question, I don't think it was out, but I don't think a batsman ever does.
No. Emma asks, if you could attend any sporting event in the world, which would you choose and why?
It's a good question, that, yeah.
Wow. Good question. I'd love to go to Ashes cricket in Australia.
Me too, yeah.
And probably go to all the different, especially like the Melbourne Test and then the New Year's
Boxing
Test
Day and things, yeah.
The Sydney Test and or maybe even the Caribbean, to watch England and Caribbean.
Yeah.
Spend a couple of weeks in Barbados watching cricket.
Mm.
Or maybe Ryder Cup.
Mm.
Like watch the golf. Or Leeds United win Champions League somewhere. I'd take that.
Now you are dreaming, Danny.
You are dreaming, yeah. God, we get called delusional.
Unfortunately, we get called delusional.
Yeah, take that.
Ian asks, he needs an answer to the best bargains question. So, which is better, the pound stretcher at the back of your North Stand at Hull KR or the Aldi on Preston Road?
I can only. Actually, I've been in both. I'm going to lie.
Loves a bargain.
I go in and buy my rice from the pound stretcher, or I used to go in and buy my little rice for £1. So I'd probably have to go for pound stretcher because it's a bit closer. I don't have to walk as far.
Fair enough.
What a question.
Me and You 2010 asks, do you think Lois Forsell could be or should be Rowan's assistant next year?
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Good question. I mean, Lois has done an unbelievable job. I went actually to do to present the girls with the shirts before the Challenge Cup final, and they seem to have a really good spirit and really good togetherness. I know she's got the Gibbons twins helping her out as well. So
yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we will ever see a lady or a girl in coaching in Super League. I won't be against it. So maybe in time it's something that could happen.
Richard asks, what's the most frivolous thing you've ever done or seen?
Frivolous? Oh, God.
There's obviously a theme with that. Picking a word.
Frivolous. Oh. I hate that word, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
I actually don't even know what it means.
No. That's your answer.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Andy asks, if you could go back through all of your previous teammates and pick one in their prime to sign for your Hull KR team, who would it be and why?
Oh, wow. But, I'm gonna say one, and I think if he was playing now, it'd be worth an absolute fortune. Keith Senior.
Yeah.
Like centres now are on like earning really big money. The centre, if you're an international centre now, you're probably one of the highest paid players, in the game. And obviously the halfbacks, especially in Australia, get probably paid the much or the ones. But Keith Senior would be worth an absolute fortune now.
Yeah.
And just he had everything, didn't he? Defensively, he was unbelievable, strong, athletic, quick, miserable.
I
enjoyed his line break in the JJB's testimony on the Boroughs game because he obviously made the break and realised, no, this is too far.
But yeah, Keith would be. Yeah, he'd be. I mean, he was world class. He was revered by the Australians. They knew how what a great player he was, and
hard as nails. Yeah,
I think bringing him back now, he'd absolutely kill it in his prime.
Yeah.
Is there a player in the current Leeds Rhinos team that you would like to play alongside?
Good question.
Yeah, good question. I love Cam Smith.
Yeah.
So do we?
Cam Smith.
Appreciation Society badge right there.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't see it. I love Cam. I think Cam has got the potential to play for England. I really do.
Yeah.
Really think he probably don't get the recognition he deserves, but
correct. Yeah.
He's smart. He just gets on with things, and I think he's probably just got to develop a bit more physically. I think he's still, he's still young, but I think physically he probably can still, he's still growing. He's still probably getting stronger, and that'll help him defensively. But I think Cam's class, and I think a forward being able to service his halfbacks with good, with good ball. I think there's not many better than Cam.
Yeah, I think Rowan's unleashed him, to be fair. He's had the potential, but Rowan's really unleashed him.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
All Leeds ask, are you worried that Ryan Hall will beat your Super League try scoring record?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you can choose not to pick him, Danny.
Well, I could do it at the back end, but we only had 17 players, so I had no choice at times. But I can influence our attacking game next year, so we'll be kicking away.
That's true. Yeah, go the other side.
Yeah, especially if I'm in charge of attack next year. We won't be kicking many attacking kicks towards Ryan, kicking the other way. Right, seriously, I think if Ryan did it, I'll be honest, I want to keep it. I really do.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But if Ryan did it, because we're good friends, it'd probably soften the blow a little bit, if I'm honest. Still be disappointed, but he's a winger, so he should score more tries. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. We had a question from Tony in the comments saying, what's the best game that you've ever played in for the Rhinos? I know we've talked to your grand finals, but was there any other games that maybe not a final?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think probably I used to love going to France. I used to love the challenge of playing in Perpignan. I really enjoyed that. Because we started at first we'd do like a 4-day sort of trip. We'd go to Barcelona, then we'd drive up to Perpignan.
Yeah.
And I used to love the challenge of that, and it was almost like a little mini break with the lads, and we get a bit of time together. So I always enjoyed I think it was the player. It might have been when we had the pink kit at 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Bailey made the break, and I scored, and so that game, that was probably one of the better games, and obviously the Huddersfield game with the last sort of second try.
Stephen asks, if you won the grand final as a head coach, do you think that'd be a greater achievement than any or all of your considerable triumphs as a player?
Wow, bloody hell.
I don't know, actually. I'm not sure. I'll have to tell you when it happens.
So there you go. It's going to happen with Leeds.
I think coaching tests you in different ways, and what I find tough about coaching is that you've got no influence once the whistle's blown. You've got not much influence on the outcome, really. I find that really challenging, because I'd much prefer to be out there trying to influence it physically and do what I do. But obviously, when you're coaching, you can't do that. You can make some changes and make a few sort of tactical things and speak at half time, but ultimately, you can't really have much of an impact on the game. So, but I think, I'd love to. That's probably a fair way down the line for that potentially to happen. But I don't think, has a player coach ever done it yet? Playing as a coach?
Not from my memory. We've lost the stat. I've got stats for this year, actually, but we haven't got the history. But I can't remember.
No,
I don't think,
because Kieran Cunningham did he?
Did he? I don't think so.
No, he didn't.
So we'll see what happens.
The title's still there for you to get. Ryan's asked, why do you think? Obviously, Ryan obviously thinks that England Rugby League struggles to produce quality halfbacks. Do you share that opinion?
Yeah.
Is there a reason why do we struggle?
You know what? I honestly don't know, but I've got a little bit of a theory, and I went to watch my nephew play for East Leeds. This is a while back, probably 6 months ago, and he's playing in under 15s or under 14s or something. And this is not having a dig at anybody, by the way, because I think that the coaches that give the time up in amateur rugby
league, it's vital,
unbelievably applauded for what they do. And my lads started playing rugby now, and they give the time up, and I never ever criticise what they do, because it's unbelievable what they do. But they had like an attacking set, and my nephew plays halfback, and he called 3 into a post for a set play, and I'm thinking, right, okay. So they took 3 1-out carries. And they put on the worst set play that I've ever seen, and only one person. There was just no. What I'm trying to say is there were no flair or anybody playing with any eyes up and just seeing a 3 on a 3 versus a 2 or a 4 versus 3.
Taking a chance,
and taking it, or somebody using their individual flair and seeing some space. And I just watched that and I just thought, is that potentially why we don't have many? We've got a lot. I watched my lad play his first game last night for Kipax, and they had some unbelievable kids. They were tackling and they were running, and there's some really good kids playing. But I didn't see anybody that could throw a pass, or it's just we seem to produce athletes and that can tackle, but I think that like flair and that somebody that can see things late and has got footwork, and them type of players are not really, your Lee Breezes, for example. There's not many Lee Breezes left in the game. We've got one at KR, Mikey Lewis. I love, Mikey's got some.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah,
he's got some flaws. He's got some things that he needs to get better at. But give him the ball in open space, and he'll try something. He'll chip it for himself, and it don't always come off. But he's somebody that I would pay money to watch.
Yeah, agree.
I love him at Rhinos. Ryan's second question is Simply Kebab the best in Leeds? I've not heard of it.
It is the best kebabs in Leeds, I'm not going to lie.
Is it? Where is it? I've never heard of it.
It's in Woodlesford. It's just up the road from me. I think they're on speed dial. I've got them saved as number 1.
Is that you, Danny?
They are really good. They are really good. And if he's listening, we'll have a discount next time we're going.
Or a sponsorship.
You can sponsor the podcast, yeah. Steve asked, were you a bit disappointed that you didn't get more England caps given your form towards the end of your career?
Yeah, honest answer, yeah. I think I ended up with like 20-ish or 19 or 20 of England and GBs combined, which I probably should have been double that, if I'm honest.
I think so, yeah, I agree with that.
And a lot of it's probably down to I probably didn't perform as well as I should have or could have at times, and I probably need to take some responsibility and some ownership of that. But some other things happened as well, and I think especially when you play halfback, and if things don't go right, you're the first one for the chop. And it seemed to be when I first got in there, they'd like swap and change. It was Sean Long and Leon, and then I'd be in there and Rob would be in there. Then it was Rangy Chase and Kev and Gareth Widdop, and I just never felt a coach said, right, you've got a full series here to go play well. You're going to develop a partnership with whichever scrum half, and we're going to give you a full series to get it right. And it wasn't until Steve McNamara came in and he did that, and he did it with Kevin Rangy, and I didn't get picked all series, but I actually appreciated what he did, because I thought fair play, he's giving him a full series to gel and develop, and I kind of did it. So there's a little bit of regret there that I didn't do as well as I probably, probably my best game were World Cup semi in Australia in 2008. We lost to New Zealand, but I scored a couple of tries and had a really good game, and then after that it was pretty much downhill really. To be honest, it didn't go to plan. Probably a lot of it my own doing, if I'm honest. I probably didn't play as well as I should have.
David's asked, which young Super League player not at the Rhinos do you think is one to watch?
I really like Lewis Dodd at St Helens. Really like, we've been injured a bit this year. I think he's really good. I love watching Wellesby play. Irritates the life out of me at times because he's niggly and he's
got a bit of arrogance to him.
Yeah,
I kind of like that though.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Especially when you can back it up and play like he
That's right. Yeah, you're a decent player. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mikey Lewis.
Mikey at KR.
He's awesome. I'd have him at Leeds in a heartbeat.
Quality. Trying to think.
What's that? I can't remember that name of that young winger at Wake. He's
Lewis Murphy is good.
Lewis Murphy, that's right. Sorry, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's very good. Yeah, very good.
Some good players.
Well, yeah, there's a few knocking about, and I think they put that England night squad out last week, I think, and there's some decent players in that, so it'll be interesting.
Duncan's asked, who's the best overseas player that you've ever played with?
Oh wow.
Oh, tough question. Tough. I've probably got. I mean, I think for longevity and like what they achieved, it'd be hard to probably Ali Lawatiti. It'd be hard to argue against.
He was awesome, wasn't he?
Throughout, he was there for, what did he end up doing? Maybe 9 years, something like that. Kylie again. Kylie probably don't get.
We've been lucky, haven't we, at Leeds?
Don't get the plaudits he deserves. Just an unbelievable player, but good, really good team man as well.
I still think my favourite memory of him is again that JJB testimonial.
Yeah,
he still came on and absolutely whacked someone.
Jesus.
And you could see Rob was laughing on the sideline. I thought, he could still play for us.
Yeah. And then we had Brent Webb,
Annie
Badiris. Really, Brett Delaney. Brett Delaney again don't get the plaudits he deserves. Whenever you laced up alongside Brett, you just knew he was going to run his blood to water for you and put his head in his face where it hurts for you. So, he'd look after his halfbacks around him and make sure that nobody would be able to run at you. And so we've been really lucky. We've had some.
We have,
really good ones.
Duncan's other question is, what's your handicap in golf?
I actually beat Matt Parcell today, which I'm really pleased with. Matt's playing.
Nice.
Matt's playing 6, and I beat Matt. I'm off 12.
Off 12.
A very dodgy 12. Sometimes sometimes I can just about manage to be around that, and then other times
it's gone.
Nowhere near.
Laurie asks if the podcast is more than 2 hours long, do you want him to come rescue you?
Charming.
I'll say that's no. Ryan Siegel asks, do you ever regret not following in the footsteps of Kev and dabbling with rugby union?
No, not really. There were a couple of opportunities to early part of my career to go to Saracens and have a chat with them, but I just didn't think the games kind of suited my style really. I wasn't the greatest early part of my career. I probably wasn't the greatest kicker. I didn't have a big boot on me. I want a goal kicker, so I just didn't think it sort of suited the way that I played. If I'm honest, I never played it as a kid. You don't get many rugby union teams in East Leeds, so I never played it as a kid. So I just, it was probably more the Australian NRL were probably more something that I probably would have looked at if I would have looked to a move. But so no, not really.
Fair enough. Another question from Richard Stockdale was, what's your best memory of the academy days under the great Dean Bell?
Yeah, some good times. I can't remember where I was. I was telling a story actually. My first year in the academy, where it actually didn't go to plan. I'd left school and I was doing college alongside it, so I kind of were a bit distracted, if I'm honest. And we got an end of year sort of feedback or end of season report basically from Dean Bell, and it was pretty scathing. It was almost like, you can't just rely on your natural abilities and your talent. You've got to prepare to put the effort in and the hard work. And my granddad, who passed away probably maybe 6-7 years ago, probably a little bit longer now, he actually kept the letter from 19, so that'll be 1999. Wow. He kept it up until basically he passed away, and it were falling apart. It were like, but you could make out most of it. But he used to get it out every year and used to say, "Don't forget about this." It was almost like a bit of a grounding letter, and he'd never let me forget about it. He used to, and it had Dean Bell's signature at the bottom. So, he was good. He was tough, but he sort of gave you a really good grounding. The academy at that time was so strong, there was so much pressure going in there that if you didn't live up to it or get up to that standard, then you were kind of gone. So I had to sort of get into shape pretty quick.
Steve Hodgson asks, having been compared a lot to Scoey, especially coming through when Scoey was, was Scoey someone you idolised in the game?
Yeah, I met him yesterday actually. I went and met him.
Oh yesterday. Wow, is he all right?
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, I went and signed some. He's doing some charity stuff for Rob, so I went and signed some balls and some shirts for him yesterday, and we had a good chat. He gave me a box of Budweiser for doing it. So cheers, Scully. Thanks for that.
Nice of him.
He was. And again, that's probably what I'm speaking about. The halfback stuff. You don't see many of these. And whether it's because we don't allow it in rugby league anymore, I don't know. But you don't see many Gary Schofields now that can intercept, that can chip and chase. And I know the game. I know the game's different now, and I know we are playing a different game. But if somebody like Scully, and he'd be still an unbelievable player if he was playing
in any area.
All the great players would adapt and do what they do, and Scully would be no different. And everybody used to do a Scully on the field where you dive and go through, and score a try. And that's probably how, because I always used to dive when I scored. I never put ball down. I always used to dive, and so that was probably in homage to Scully, to be honest.
To Scully, wow.
Steve, second question. We've talked a lot about coaches this evening, but we actually haven't asked you which is your best coach that you've worked under, which is actually Stephen's question. So, who is the best coach you have worked under as a player?
I think I've had some. They've all got their own sort of strengths and weaknesses, if I'm honest. And I think if you could marry everything up, you'd have the ultimate coach. But it's very hard to sort of do that. I think there's always going to be something that, I don't think we'll ever see that perfect. Maybe somebody like a Craig Bellamy. Also, I've not worked with him, but to be doing what he's doing for so long, maybe he is the perfect. But Tony was like really demanding and tactically very good, and and got a lot out of his players, and instilled a lot of really good, strong characteristics in his players. And then Brian McLennan was really good off the field and bringing the families together, and so I'd probably use a little bit of that. And then Brian Mack probably had a bit of both.
Yeah,
he probably had a little bit of both, and he did some things that at times I were a bit unsure of, but he was a great coach. He did some really good things for us, and managed the team really well. Especially the senior boys. He was really good at managing the senior boys, and Darryl Powell was good. When I worked with Darryl Powell the second time with England, I thought he was an unbelievable coach, and probably were thrust into it a bit too soon in his first stint at Leeds. But so I kind of gone roundabout and not give you a one person.
All of them. This question from Ben though. So Ben's asked which coach gave you the hardest training sessions.
There you go.
Brian Mack. Yeah.
Brian Mack. Yeah, it's probably Brian the Marine Mack in him, isn't it?
Yeah. It makes sense.
We trained on Abbey Fields, which were behind Kirkstall. So it was not where our training ground is now. We used to have the fields at the back of the side of the river. They used to get in the winter. They used to get flooded a fair bit, but that didn't stop Brian as going out on field and diving in puddles and doing all sorts of different army crazy stuff. And some of the overseas boys, I think Paul Ayton hadn't been at the club, or Joel Moon hadn't been at the club long, and I remember going back into the changing rooms and he was absolutely covered in mud. And I could see him thinking, "What the hell am I doing here? Get me back to Australia."
A couple of teammate questions from PD. Who was the quickest player you've ever played with, and who was the strongest in the gym?
Ooh.
Quickest would be Scott Donald.
Yeah.
Scott Donald was rapid.
Lightning.
Scotty was quick. Rob was quick over. Rob was electric over 5'10", but then Scotty Donald were God. Scotty was really quick. And the strongest, Ryan Holt, strongest by a fair. Ryan Holt or Kylie. Yeah. Kylie Luluai was strong but didn't like to show it. He used to get embarrassed, so he didn't like to show everybody how strong he was.
I've forgotten we moved on from the quickest player question, then I thought Kylie Luluai is the quickest player. Christ.
He's more like the slowest.
You don't have to answer this one honestly if you don't have to, but we have been asked by Sharky in terms of what did you really think about Phil Clark's comments back in 2010?
We're all right now, Phil. We obviously do a fair bit work at Sky and stuff. We're fine now. And at the time, I think I was probably more disappointed, really, because obviously it was a fair injury that I had, and somebody that I really respected as well, because he'd managed us for England and for Great Britain. Sorry, and I don't know. I think he was obviously a bit frustrated with, obviously Wigan had lost that game, and he wrote something that he probably shouldn't have done, and he apologised. And life's too short, and to hold grudges, and you never know when you're gonna I have to work. I think we'll probably be working together at grand final, and you never know when you're gonna come along and meet somebody again and work with somebody again. So life's too short to be living in the past at times, isn't it? We've got to forward. So we're cool now. At the time, disappointed, but cool now. All good.
Good. A couple more questions, and then that's the end of the mailbag. Typically, the two last for your food. Laurie simply asks, I think I'm going to know the answer to this, but pizza or kebab?
Kebab.
I thought it might be. Given the other question.
Kebab, though, only for some. I don't like doner kebab. It has to be chicken. I don't like doner kebab.
Chicken kebab, right?
Yeah, I'm not a doner. I can't eat that stuff that they scrape off. I don't like
that. Nathan's got the award for the weirdest question of the night.
This is a weird question. I saw this one.
So apologies in advance.
All right.
Would you rather wake up every morning covered in ham and not know why, or sweet mayonnaise?
Or sweat mayonnaise.
Oh, sweat mayonnaise, sorry. Sweat
mayonnaise.
Sweat mayonnaise or wake up covered in ham.
Oh, sweat mayonnaise. Sorry, Christ.
Sweat mayonnaise.
Yeah, so would you rather wake up every morning covered in ham and not know why, or would you rather sweat mayonnaise?
That is a weird question, isn't it? That is a weird. I probably sweating mayonnaise. That'd be
horrible, Danny.
That'd be weird, wouldn't it? I'd rather wake up covered in ham and just take it off me, and then you're done, aren't you? You're done for the day.
Or midnight snack. You never know. And I think I've saved for what I think is the best question to last from ZB Creative. You've scored some great tries, Danny, in your history. What do you consider to be the best try you've ever scored?
God, there's loads.
I think my best one's probably the one at Ellen Road against Canterbury.
Yeah, in the corner.
Yeah, in the corner. Yeah, I think so. Just for I think I'll tell you probably why as well, because I played until the end of 2004. Played against Australia at Wigan at JJB, and something very similar happened. I made a break. I was going to the corner, and Stuart Reardon came inside, and I passed it to him instead of dummying and going myself. And I had a flash as I was running against Canterbury. I had a flash. Right, I'm not passing to my winger this time. I'm going to dummy and go
mine. Yeah,
just as I'm running. So you get probably, I don't know, a couple of seconds to think about this. And I think it was Marcus Bai dropped underneath me and I dummied it to him and dived in the corner. So I think that probably a little bit more special because I learned not to mess up. I scored a good try in an important game on the back of it. So
that was an amazing try. Absolutely amazing try.
So one question from me before I presume
Barry Mack claims that try, by the way, because he says it was his offload that
I was about to say that. He said that his assist put you in there for a tapping.
Without my offload that I picked up off my ankles and had 60 metres to go.
Yeah, he also claims he scored that try
full length at Wembley,
full length, wasn't it? When it wasn't.
That try gets further and further back the more he.
Yeah. One last question for me, because I'm presuming Lottie, you're probably going to ask about predictions for the grand final. So I'm going to ask the World Cup. It's looking a bit tasty for England, especially with the names that are coming out.
Really difficult. Wow.
Samoa. I'm not very hopeful for getting them out or getting past the quarters. What do you think?
Again, I try always be honest. I think I really think we might struggle. I hope not. I hope I'm totally wrong. I hope they hear a few people saying these type of things and go, right, we'll show you. Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we're missing. I think Walmsley's a big loss. I'm not sure who's going to play in the halves. You know, I think we may struggle. You know, you look at Samoa and Tonga's squad and New Zealand's squad, and Australia could probably pick, 3 squads. I think they're the 4 teams that are playing their finals this week could all give England a good game. Parramatta, Penrith, Cowboys, Souths, I think could really compete against England. So that's what we're up. That's what we're up against, and I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope it's really well supported. I hope it's a good competition. I hope England do well, but I'm not 100% confident that's going to happen. I hope I'm wrong.
And then just to finish off, Danny, thanks for your time, by the way. It's been amazing, absolutely amazing to speak to you.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, obviously, Saturday's grand final. How do you see that going?
I think Leeds have got a chance. I really do. I think, again, like we said, early part of the show. If you'd have said Leeds had been in the final, even when they played Cass a few weeks ago, that game was really poor, wasn't it?
Hard work.
Yeah, like really tough to watch that game.
Yeah.
You'd have been, if somebody said at that point Leeds are going to be in the final, you'd be a bit like, well, not right. So I know they're working hard for each other, but where's the points coming from? Who's going to create things for them? And but yeah, they're just finding a way to get it done. And I think sometimes when you get in momentum behind you and you get in these positions, you just play with a bit of confidence, and I think they're doing that. I think Noel's playing's a big plus for St Helens. I think him getting, I've no idea how he's got off that ban, by the way, but
no one does.
But I think him playing, he's a real leader for their pack, especially defensively. And I just, with Caesar not playing, a little worry about Leeds is where we're going to create them 4 or 5 opportunities that you need to take. Where are Leeds going to do that? Where are they going to create them opportunities? So that's my only worry on Leeds. They'll tackle like they did against Wigan. The defence were unbelievable. So you're going to get effort and attitude, but have they got enough to create them 4 or 5 opportunities to take them?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the last 2 games, it will be a bit of I think Leeds just need to repeat off, just weather the storm and choose the right opportunity to unleash hell. But like you say, if you haven't got Caesar there, what's the potential to do it? But I think we've got the players to do it. We've been delusional all season, Danny. So
we'll do it. I mean, Brad Dwyer gets an opportunity maybe, or he's somebody that can break open a game, or or are they going to maybe play Liam in at halves and that type of thing? So there's plenty of players there that can create opportunities. But I think probably Low Max is playing well, and Wellesby, they probably just have the edge regards grand final experience and probably a bit of creating things a little bit. So, but you never know.
We hope that Tez is giving the Harry Sunderland trophy to his son, and I hope you're giving the trophy.
It's the other way around, isn't it?
Is it around? Sorry, are you doing Harry Sunderland?
Yeah, I'm doing the man of the match.
Right, so I hope you're giving the man of the match to Jared then, and then I hope then Tez is giving out the trophy to Cruz.
That's right. Yeah.
We'll
Brilliant, Danny. Thank you so much. It means a lot to us. Thank everybody for listening. Thanks for your questions, and we'll see you on the next podcast. See you soon.